This is BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store. Simulcast on BYU TV and BYU Radio. Now live from Studio B, your hosts, Jarom, Jordan, and Dave McCann.
BYU Sports Nation is live, your day-to-day play-by-play in Studio B, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. Thanks for being here. I'm Jarom Jordan, teamed up with the guy who's cooking up some rocket fuel for breakfast, Dave McCann.
He cooks the toast. You know, when back in the day when we were students here, and a lot of people get married at BYU. I know, you know, breaking news, but the women would kind of like, well, what kind of work ethic does the guy have? And the guy might be, well, what is she like in the kitchen type thing? And this would be a red flag. This cooking with rocket fuel in the kitchen. Yeah. If I'm calling home going, hey. My fiance burned down the apartment because she was cooking with rocket fuel. I would expect my parents to say, "Run, run away,
avoid this."
So this little incident on campus, everyone was okay, so we can joke about it.
For those that don't know,
yeah, there was a situation.
Who was using rocket fuel in his kitchen. All of a sudden, everything's on fire. Luckily, no one's hurt. He was creating rocket fuel.
Was it a he or a she? I thought. It was
I guess
she.
I don't know.
I thought
was
it was a she.
I don't know.
Fuel,
I don't know.
Either way, the rocket fuel is a bad idea.
I assumed it was stupid, therefore it was a boy. Is that a fair assessment?
Anyway.
Yeah, it's better than cooking meth at the Riviera Apartments. Yeah. Okay, that happened a couple years ago as well. And we don't condone either of these actions.
You can do popcorn in the microwave now. There's no reason to bring rocket fuel into your evening. So
BYU men's hoops seeking a rocket fuel injected finish to the season. Okay, it is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022.
That makes it a different day.
It's 2/22/22, which brings us to an early question of the day. Who's your favorite number 2 in BYU sports? Weigh in. We will have a top five number 2s in BYU history.
And there's more number 2s than you might think.
Right?
There's a pretty good list of who could make that list.
We've had some good responses. Of course, at Post Jimmer, who used to be at like pro Matt Carlino.
Yeah.
That was his thing. He goes, there's only one answer, Matt Carlino. Coming up on the show today, we update bracketology with more than just Joe Lunardi's bracket. We'll look around. Let's see if anyone has BYU in, if they share the same opinion as Joe Lunardi. Is it as bad as it feels right now? Number 2, Travis Hansen joins us. Top 5 Tuesday, as mentioned, coming up as well. Here are some explosive headlines. In
the latest Joe Lunardi bracketology, the BYU men move up one spot from third team out to second team out for the tournament. That's moving. That's trending. That's trending in the right direction. CBS's Jerry Palm has the Cougars as one of the first 4 playing in the play-in games. We'll look at all that stuff coming up, kind of see where the numbers are. I like Jerry Palm. We'll invite him over for lunch. Yeah. Everyone else?
Right now.
Not so much.
Good graces. He's in the good graces. Women's hoops climbs a single spot from 20 to 19 in the AP.
It's ridiculous.
Despite 6 of 8 teams in front of BYU losing. It's just silly. Latest bracketology from Charlie Cream. This is fresh as of this morning. Off the vine. BYU a 5 seed still. So BYU can't buy a bucket. They can on the court, but not in the polls and bracketology. Cougars play at Santa Clara and Pacific this week to close out the regular season. Crazy to think you'll be in Vegas next week calling games for the WCC.
That is crazy. And the Cougs need to play well, but I feel like they're stuck at 5. It feels like that's where they're going to be.
Yeah.
Until you get to the tournament and just win and win and win and change the fact that more teams in Stanford play basketball out west. Until that happens, we're stuck at number 19 and sitting at a 5 seed. We got more on that coming up. How about the gymnastics team? They're up to number 12 in the country. Seems like every sport on campus just climbing the national polls. They scored a 196.252 at the Stanford Quad meet. Team also received multiple MRGC Gymnast of the Week awards. Sadie Minor Van Tassel, Gymnast of the Week for the 6th straight week.
Yeah.
Brittany Bitkowskis is the floor specialist. Sydney Benson, the vault specialist. Elise Rollins, the beam specialist. BYU Gymnastics on the move. Someday they're going to beat Utah.
Someday. Yeah, absolutely.
They're trending that way.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Baseball does, speaking of, what Utah couldn't, beats Ohio State. 9-6 in baseball. Waiting for the Utes to enter the chat here. Thanks to a grand slam from Hayden Latham in the first inning. Homers by Austin Deming and Cole Gamble as well. That always helps when you have a grand slam and a 3-run.
It really does help.
Cougars now head to Arizona State for a big 3-game series starting Thursday on BYU Radio.
We don't think the Buckeyes sat 33 players either.
We do not.
Women's indoor track and field ranked 10th in the latest USTFCCCA coaches poll. First of all, a poll should not be that long. I don't care what league it is. The women won their first ever MPSF indoor title over the weekend. The Cougars just win.
Love it. Softball's ranked 24th, speaking of, climbing into the polls after winning 8 in a row in the D1 softball poll. Also, Autumn Moffitt-Korth is the WCC Pitcher of the Week. BYU will play in the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic in Cathedral City, California this weekend.
Men's volleyball stays at number 13 after a couple losses at number 6 UC Santa Barbara. The Cougars begin MPSF play against number 9 Grand Canyon Friday and Saturday at 9 Eastern Time, 7 Mountain, live on BYU TV. They're rebuilding, but when they're rebuilding, they're still in the top 13.
There's some good talent on this team. They're just a little young. They're figuring it out. And finally, the Utah Warriors of Major League Rugby announced Paul Lasike is returning to play for the team in March after spending nearly 4 years playing for Harlequins in the English Premiership. This is massive news to have Paul Lasike, 1 back in Major League Rugby and 2 with the Utah Warriors, where he played in 2018.
May whoever he runs into rest in peace.
I already heard from one member of the team last night. He's going to change everything for this team. It's going to be fun to watch. I happen to call the games for that team, so I'm particularly excited.
That's awesome.
All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
You're talking about it, and so are we. It's What's Trending on BYU Sports Nation.
What's Trending is presented by Tim Daly Nissan, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. Okay, we focused on ESPN's Joe Lunardi and what he's saying in bracketology for the most part on this show, which is because Joe's the biggest name in the game. But we haven't really looked around at the other brackets as much to see where BYU stands. So let's take a look and assess, and then let's ask ourselves if it's still as bad as it feels right now. As mentioned in headlines, Jerry Palm of CBS Sports has BYU in as a 12 seed, as one of the last 4 in. He's kind of the only guy that has BYU in among the main ones. Andy Katz, as of Saturday night, has BYU second out. Stadium has BYU as second out. Heat check, college basketball, BYU second out. So, feels about the same. But does looking at the other brackets make you more or less hopeful for BYU's tournament chances?
No, it doesn't. We've lost 5 of the last 7, and that's the number that I look at. If it was reverse and we'd won 5 of 7 and we're sitting on the bubble, we're like, we should be in. We're trending.
On our way.
We're trending. We get 2 more wins this week, we'll be in. But this is the opposite of that, and it just feels like that's the way it's going. It's going to the NIT. Not that was the goal before the season started, but this team is playing like a really, really good NIT team in the last month.
Fair assessment.
And so we look at all these numbers and we want, that's why Jerry Palm's our friend. We're going to send him a fruit basket for a couple more days.
A couple of years ago, we were not friends.
No, we were not his friend.
Jerry. Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing with this team. And at some point, we're going to have to take disappointment of not making the big dance and move it over here to the reality pile of this team has overachieved. Mark Pope may have done his best coaching in his young career this year in having to shuffle everybody on the fly and still find a way to win, they'll have 21 wins probably by Saturday night. And some of those were pretty good wins. They weren't the big meat wins like against Gonzaga, but nobody's beating Gonzaga. But there were a couple of disappointing losses in there too. And you go, how could Mark Pope – look what he's working with and look what they've done. Yeah. And the reality is they may be top seed in the NIT. Right now they're an NIT team. And that's just the reality of it all. And a win Thursday night, which we expect, and win Saturday, which we expect. Success in Vegas is expected. Will that be enough to push them back into this group? I don't know. But it's trending, the NIT is what it's trending.
Our crack research staff informs us that there's a website called thebarkingcrow.com. And they project NIT.
I'm concerned that they even know that.
Barking Crow. They're 2 seed in that. Okay? I don't know. Which brings me to one of my favorite Jack Candy quotes. All the crows are calling my name, thought Ka. It's just so good. I'm with you. Should we be in that, as you mentioned, the move the pile to the reality phase? Should we be? I think we're in that phase as a fan base of, after Saturday, probably not happening. Now, Spencer and I elaborated yesterday about, okay, if BYU can get San Francisco in a quarterfinal, if BYU can win Friday, play San Francisco in a quarterfinal as the 5 playing the 4 who comes in, you've got a top 50 quad 1 game sitting there. San Francisco's net is top 30,
Yeah.
Or sorry, top 35, which is incredible. It has to be top 50 to be quad one on Selection Sunday. I don't see, if BYU beats San Francisco there, them dropping out of the top 50. So that's a chance to perhaps get yourself back in. But I argued this, Dave, and I want to get your thought on this. I think BYU does not benefit and is hurt from the fact that this will happen on a Saturday, 8 days before Selection Sunday. I just think BYU will be forgotten about.
Yeah. Because
of the timing of that. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree, and they could beat St. Mary's too on a neutral floor
on the Monday.
Which would put them in the championship game. I mean, in theory, those could happen if Foose was playing at 100%.
Right, and I don't think BYU would be on St. Mary's side of the bracket. That's my concern.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because he lined up with Gonzaga in the semis. If BYU still had St. Mary's in the semi, I would be much more hopeful about this situation.
Right.
Because they are a top, 25 net team, and you'd have a shot there. Obviously, the way they played Saturday, at times played terribly. At times played like the NIT team, and at the end almost played like the NCAA tournament team that we were hoping they could be. But if you line up with Gonzaga in the semi, that's the end of the road.
If Foose isn't healthy, he needs a really good week because I think he lost a lot sitting out. For a young player to miss a couple of games, and he wasn't the same against St. Mary's. He was a different Foose than played St. Mary's up here when BYU beat him.
Yes.
If this week he can get his groove back and BYU goes into Vegas with somewhat of a front line, they can win Friday night, and then they could beat San Francisco. They beat them in San Francisco. They got beat here. You got to guard the three, but they could beat if they have a healthy front line. But if they don't, I don't know if they'll get through Friday because there's no team afraid of them anymore, so long as they double team Alex, and then the rest are either banged up or dealing with confidence issues, or they've beat them before. So it's not like, oh my gosh, we got to play BYU on Friday night. It might be sweet. I'd rather play them than Santa Clara if you're a team that's got to play somebody on Friday night.
Here's a wounded animal right now. Every team that could match up with them is going, we could pick them off.
Yeah. Whereas in December, they don't want any piece of them.
No.
November, I don't want any part of BYU.
Nope.
But this is a different BYU team. It's a different lineup, and now they're in the corner. And how much fight do they have? And I'm curious to see how they play Thursday night in a game where they should win comfortably at home, but they might not. But they've got to play good basketball where they walked off the court going, okay, we played good tonight. Never mind who it was. And Saturday, okay, we played good. We can go to Vegas and play good, as opposed to, I don't know how we're going to play tonight.
BYU needed a 19-12 from Foose to beat LMU in overtime.
Yeah.
They don't have the same Foose, pre-injury. That injury, I guess, happened sometime in that game or between games. Our question of the day, who's your favorite number 2 in BYU sports history? Looking at the jerseys, you got to look up who number 2 is, right? Let's get to your responses in Voice of the Nation.
This is the Voice of the Nation on BYU Sports Nation.
At Nick Newman 801, shout out to Elk Ridge Middle School. As a kid, I wanted to be the most famous number 2 at BYU, but I'll have to give that to Cody Hoffman.
It's a good choice
today. Cody Hoffman.
Excellent choice.
Got all the records. If Austin Collie had stayed another year, I do believe Austin would have those records. He played 3 years. Cody took all those records in 4. You called the touchdown.
I remember Blaine and I went against Boise State, and it was an awesome catch.
Great catch.
It was a great catch. Cody was awesome.
At Tyson Peterson. I've got to go with Zach Wilson on the Jets. Oh!
He's going outside the league.
The Jets number 2 version of Zach, right?
Interesting.
It's still amazing. He was drafted 2nd overall. There's that number again. We may never see that again. That's a great pick.
Yeah.
Maybe the elite voice of the day later. I don't know.
Let's see.
Yesterday's was sketchy.
You can't not continue watching this program to find out. That's a teaser of all teases. Speaking of teases, the watch party at Texas Tech, and perhaps a sign of things to come when BYU joins the Big 12.
This is an incredible video that came out. And we celebrate 2-22-22 with one of the great BYU numbers 2s. Travis Hansen joins the program. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968.
Hi, Spencer Linton here, letting you know when your company joins the BYU team as a corporate partner, your brand can be featured in sports programming on BYU TV and BYU Radio. In addition to all of the great games, you can be part of the BYU coaches shows, place your message in Countdown to Kickoff, basketball pre- and post-game shows, and each weekday on BYU Sports Nation. We invite your team to join ours and become a corporate sponsor of BYU Athletics. For details, email sponsorship@byu.edu today.
Wrapping up in a Minky Couture luxurious blanket. Getting cozy with family and friends. A gift for everyone. Minky Couture, official luxury blanket of BYU Athletics.
BYU Food to Go's convenient location at 2191 North Canyon Road in Provo makes bringing popular BYU foods to your next event easy. Everything's ready when you need it at the drive and load pickup. You drive in and they load no matter the weather. And stop in the on-site creamery for great BYU chocolate milk and ice cream. BYU Food to Go, bringing campus to your table. Call for details, 801-422-5001.
Ladies and gentlemen, Will Forte!
Honey, look! My wish must have come true! You two are bombing.
Buddy, come on, help me out here. We got it. You know we got it. Come on.
I'm undercover as a cat.
Yeah, I'm very good at assuming other identities.
No. I'm in too deep. I need to catch that laser dot.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Join us tonight for BYU basketball with Mark Pope as the coach and Greg Wrubell review the St. Mary's game and that tight finish, and they preview the final week of the regular season tonight, 8:30 Eastern on the BYU TV app.
We're in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU sports play-by-play. Jarom Jordan alongside Dave McCann. It is 2-2-22. No, 2-22-22.
Right.
So we're going to talk to one of the best number twos in BYU history. His name is Travis Hansen. Shout out to Mapleton, right? Mapleton's where it's at, Trav. What's up, man?
Shout out to Mapleton. Shout out to Eddie. You know, all my sponsors, City of Mapleton.
little NIL action post BYU never hurt.
He's all business. Right? He's all business now.
Yeah. Okay. Hey. Let's talk about twos. We're number two. Spoiler alert. You're one of the top 5 number twos in BYU history according to our list. That's coming up later in the program. We'll see where you are. Are you number 1? Are you number 5? Are you in between?
Are you number 2?
Are you number 2? Why'd you pick number 2 in the end?
I picked number 2 because I wanted for my family. We were 23 and 24. My little sisters were 23 and 24. I couldn't choose. I was 24 in high school, and so I just picked the top one, number 2, so I could support both of them, and so they wouldn't get jealous or they wouldn't, fight over who their older brother liked most.
There are a lot of number 2s in your life. You're a 2-time West Coast or Mountain West Conference champion, a second-round pick in the NBA, number 1 in a bunch of things, including your home court record. But outside of you, who's your favorite number 2 at BYU?
Ooh, that's I don't know. Probably Shaylee right now.
Nice.
Shaylee Gonzalez had a great year. Love watching her play. Love to see the success of the women's team. My little sisters played there, and so probably right now Shaylee, but Cody Hoffman's up there. Cody was awesome back in his day.
He knows his twos.
Yes, he does.
He knows
Not bad.
twos.
Travis is either vetted or knowledgeable or both. We're talking to Travis.
Unless I missed somebody. I might have missed somebody. I'm sorry if I did.
There's plenty of twos out there, I'm sure. We're talking to Travis Hansen here on BYU Sports Nation. Obviously, we want to get your thoughts on kind of BYU hoops. Certainly not in a great spot heading into the last week of the regular season, but hopefully the Cougs can win 2 this week and then somehow get a matchup with maybe San Francisco and Vegas, get another quad 1 opportunity. You've been on teams that were fighting and scratching and clawing for opportunities to get into the NCAA tournament. What's it like at the end of a season like this when you're just hoping for a shot?
It could be frustrating at times because they've dealt with a lot of ups and downs and challenges. I think they're a top 10, 15, 20 team with Gavin Baxter and Harvard, but they've had injuries and I think they've expected, Gideon George and Caleb to come a lot farther than they have and to be a little bit more contributors than they have. And so it's just been a little bit of a frustrating season than they had anticipated, but it's not over. And you got to peak at the right times and there's a lot more basketball to be played. So we got a great team. Thank goodness Alex Barcelo came back and he's been phenomenal. I love watching him play. And, we'll see how they end up, but it's all about peaking at the right time, the right rhythm, playing together, fighting until the very end, and you never know what can happen.
I was watching the Super Bowl, and I thought you did great at halftime with Eminem. I know you got tired there at the end, but when you go back to your playing days and everyone said, well, that's what Travis looks like. He looks like Eminem. But this attitude, this freestyle play that you brought to the basketball team, infectious on the others, but you always look like you were having a good time playing. And I know it's hard for Alex Barcelo to look like he's having a great time playing because the team has been losing, lost 5 of their last 7. But when you're a great player with all that kind of talent, just to let it loose, I thought you were the epitome of that.
You're kind. Just like Eminem, we don't like rules and people to hold us back. You got one shot to make it in this life, and so my mom taught me how to be a fighter. I didn't have any fear. I wasn't looking to if people ranked me or they didn't. If I wanted to write my own story. Some people said you weren't good enough, you weren't tall enough, you weren't fast enough, and I just never listened to the haters or the noise. In all reality, I wanted to write my own story. I think this team and Alex Barcelo can write their own story. We don't know how it ends. It's up to them. I really love Caleb Lohner and Gideon George. I love their talent and their ability to really play this beautiful game. And so in reality, I played the way I think it should be played. It's just absolute no fear. I love competing. I love fighting, and I love to try to win. And so if these guys can capture that and get it back into their soul and their minds and get mentally right, I think, they can beat anybody on this earth. That's the greatest thing about basketball is you never know who's going to win. And it's all about peaking at the right time.
No Fear reminds me of, the brand in like the 90s. I was expecting maybe you to have like a shirt or something for that as well, but maybe next time.
That's what Eddie means.
maybe next time, yeah.
Wear my hat.
Okay, Alex Barcelo, hopefully he's got a shot in the NBA. The reality is probably a guy that's going to play internationally. You played in the NBA for a little bit, but mostly internationally, in Spain and Russia and whatnot. What advice would you give to a guy like Alex in the opportunity to pursue a professional career that may be overseas? We'll see. And you can still have great success like you did.
Alex Barcelo, advice I'd give AB. Number one, he married really well. We love Zoe, and they've been over here for dinner with our family. And number two, I'd say control what you can control, which is just today. Finish your season out right. Put the little deposits in every single day, improve every day, and great things happen. Much like the gospel, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, when you do those deposits every single day, once in a while you feel the spirit in a talk or testimony. The same thing in these games. AB will go off for 30 like you did a few weeks ago, or he'll have an incredible moment, and it reminds you why you played the game. It reminds you of that little boy that grew up loving the sport, and it was those moments that get you addicted to it. And similar to the gospel, I have these moments where I remember why I'm a member and why I love the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I would tell AB to control the controllable, to love the moments, put deposits in every day. And when you work hard like that, great things happen. And I think AB will have a phenomenal career as long as he gets a good agent, surrounds himself with good people, like Zoe, listens to her, more than anyone else. I'm excited. He'll make a lot of money. And I believe AB is one of those unique guys, will have a great career in basketball, but he'll even have a better career in business afterwards. My dad told me at one point in time, you'll make more money in business than you made playing basketball. And I thought, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? But those attributes and characteristics and skills you learn by playing this sport really flow into all aspects of life and give you an incredible advantage.
Well, speaking of business, and you have business going on all over the world, a lot of it has to do with helping kids in orphanages, and you were a big basketball star over in Moscow. A fan of yours is Vladimir Putin, and a lot of Russian executives. You have Russian citizenship, and they wanted you to play for them in the Olympics. I think your story is so fascinating, but each morning as you wake up and put the news on and you see what Russia is doing, at the border of the Ukraine, and those are people that you know, and you still have interest over there. What goes through your mind as you see something like this because of your experience there?
Oof, a range of emotions. You're sad for the people, for the possible confrontation, and for the possible impact that some of those decisions that political leaders are having on their personal lives, because you want them to be happy. They're my friends. I love them. I care about them. And so I want them to be successful and happy and have every opportunity. And sometimes due to leadership and egos and political climates, it affects all of us on a personal level. It also, one of the emotions it brings is gratitude. I'm so thankful for United States of America that live in this wonderful country with freedoms and people that are willing to fight and stand up and for what they believe. So thankful for, all the opportunities I have and freedoms I have and my family has. We love Russia. They treated us so very well over there. And we pray and hope that they don't go to war, that it can be, the debates or hurt feelings or history or, Putin not liking NATO and possibly, the Western influence uptight to his border, that he can, handle it in different ways and not use, weapons and war to communicate. So we love those people. We love the members of the church over there and just praying for them at this time.
Talking to Travis Hansen on BYU Sports Nation. You were featured on Netflix's Dream Home Makeover, your house in Mapleton, which I drive by sometime, and I'm like, at some point I'm going to play on that basketball court in the barn. Do you get more questions about that episode of TV or your playing career at this point?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Netflix has been funny, man. Like everyone from my mission to people that I played with, Pablo Prigioni and Luis Scola and Jason Terry from Atlanta Hawks have texted me and said, "Bro, nice house. I'm going to build a full football stadium attached to my house." So we've got teased a little bit because we do have a full court basketball court attached to our home, but we've used it a ton. Tonight we have a wonderful group called Adaptive Special Needs Kids. There'll be 29 of them that will come in and we'll do a basketball camp at our house.
That's cool.
And spend time with them. So, it's blessed my life. My dad grew up on a farm in Boise, Idaho. And him and his brothers worked on an alfalfa farm. Me and my kids, we play basketball. It's what we do. And I woke up this morning at 4:50, got my workout in at 5 to 6. And then from 6 to 8, I got to work out my son, Mason, who's 14 years old, and spend time with him. So it's been a blessing. Netflix was funny. It put us, in touch with a lot of amazing people that we had not been in touch with. And so it's been a blessing in our life, to tell you the truth. It's been fun.
Utah Valley Magazine named you one of the coolest entrepreneurs in 2018. Are you still maintaining that status?
You still cool, Trev?
No, I think at some point when you turn 40, you're just old. My 8-year-old, Zach, I said the other day, I'm like, "Bro, you can't hit a shot." And he's like, "At least I don't have a dad body."
That's cold.
Wow.
What'd you say? Jaron, you can come over, but you better make a shot. The last.
I'll make a shot. Don't worry.
Said he was like 0 for 10. So no, please don't.
I'm making a shot. Jeez. Come on. I'll go at least 2 for 10. Come on, man.
Don't hurt our walls.
And hey, Clay Thompson worked out in your barn one time, right?
Yep, Clay.
It's pretty cool.
Quite a few. Yeah, we've had quite a few different guys. Jake Toulson did a lot of his workouts before signing on with the Jazz, and Skylar Halford's here all the time. It's all family, baby. BYU has great connections.
Well, I'll come down the road one day, and I'll just knock on the door, maybe at 6 a.m. because I know you're up working out one of your kids. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and anyone that thinks they're better than me, then number 2, they can always come over and we can compete.
Shaylee's gonna be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, Trav.
Shaylee, tell Shaylee, let's go.
Absolutely, Trav. We appreciate the time. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you guys. See ya.
Travis Hansen on BYU Sports Nation.
Great ambassador for BYU.
100%. Shameless plug for the Deep Blue podcast I did with him. Oh my gosh. I learned so much about his experiences in Spain. By the way, he has a kid on a mission in Barcelona right now.
That's awesome.
That's pretty special. And then, of course, what he did with the house, which is cool. He's been extremely successful post-playing career. Yeah. And obviously, you asked him about Russia. There's a connection there where he has connections with the government because he played on a team that was owned by the government. Yeah. And the church has questions about connecting, trying to get a temple done, and they go through Travis, and there's a temple there. So I was like, Trav, are you the reason there's a temple in Russia?
Trav,
and he's like, no. But
go to the podcast.
Yeah, check it out. Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, coming up, who's the number 1, number 2 in BYU history?
The number 1, number 2. I like that. And who gets our vote for Women's West Coast Conference Player of the Year? It's a debate among teammates. This is BYU Sports Nation.
Dexter & Dexter is a full-service law firm offering a wide range of legal services. Since 1995, we have helped more than 20,000 Utahns both to navigate life's challenges and to make the most of life's opportunities. From personal injury to business law, and from adoption to bankruptcy, we are passionate about shouldering your burdens. To learn more about scheduling a no-obligation consultation, visit dexterlaw.com.
When my grandfather started this company in 1947, he couldn't have envisioned what we would ultimately become. We realized that our value to our customers is that we will be there day after day, year after year, doing whatever we need to find solutions to the challenges that they face. We are committed to be honestly better in all that we do, in every opportunity that we have to serve our customers.
Familiar with the BYU TV app? Yes.
I beg your pardon?
Sure, it's got great original TV shows. But it also gives you access to family films for free.
Wow. Awesome!
So gather around, grab some popcorn, and let us do the rest.
It'll be fun.
Watch some of your favorite films anytime, anywhere. With the free BYU TV app.
I like it.
BYU Sports Nation is brought to you by Maersk, enabling global trade for a growing world.
On the latest BYUSN right now, the ups and downs of BYU hoops, including a record crowd on senior night for women's basketball, which was awesome, and celebrating multiple titles over the weekend. Check it out on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook with Kiki Solano.
Incredible imagery from Saturday. Just what an amazing day in the Marriott Center.
So cool to be there. It was Jeff Judkin's finest hour.
It was great. So awesome. Okay, he is Dave. I am Jarom. This is BYU Sports Nation. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, BYU Sports Nation. Let's whip it. Google Whip Around is presented by Maersk, your integrated container logistics company enabling global trade for a growing world.
Should BYU fans be frustrated that the women's team was only moved up one spot in the new AP Top 25 after picking up their 23rd win of the season?
By 24 points, by the way. Yes, BYU should be frustrated. Now, I just want this team to be in the top 16 and be a 4 seed. Now, ranking different than seeding, but seeding is still a 5 according to Charlie Cream. He's the only women's bracketologist that we know of. So that part is frustrating. If BYU is ranked 19th but ends up a 4, I don't care.
What I don't get is if your net is 9 and your national ranking in the AP is 19, why is there a gulf between those two numbers?
I could see one's an algorithm, one's an opinion, but you're right. I don't think BYU should be 9th, but I do think they should be like 13.
Yeah, or at least 15 where they've never been before. Never been ranked higher than 16. They've gotten there twice this year.
Maybe
they run into this
the
wall.
voters knew that, and they were like, nah,
There's something weird going on. Someone's got something against it.
Feels like it, but I don't want to have a Cougar Board take on it either. Who's your West Coast Conference Women's Basketball Player of the Year? Shaylee Gonzalez or Paisley Harding?
You know what? I'm gonna suggest something here. I'm going to suggest that the league give them co-player of the year honors. Teammates. Instead of last year, Shaylee was a co with somebody I think from Gonzaga.
Yes.
Teammates, which I don't know has ever happened before. But you look at the numbers in conference play, Shaylee's averaging 18.6, Paisley's 17.9. And then their numbers are so close across the board in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, free throw percentage, and they're number 4 and 5 in the league in assists. So they're scoring and they're passing. We saw plenty of that Saturday when they beat Gonzaga. Paisley went to Gonzaga, got stitches in her face, came out and beat the Bulldogs almost by herself.
Yep, that was wild.
Shaylee had 35 down there at St. Mary's, beat the Gales almost by herself. So they've had big moments, but you take one of them away from the team, and it's not the same team. Still a good team, still probably the best team in the league, but with those two players, they're elite. And I think they both deserve Player of the Year.
That could be pretty cool. If they give it to just one, it'd probably be Shaylee because she's a hair ahead of Paisley in some of those things. And they do league numbers only. And in league only, Shaylee's number 1 in assists, number 3 in steals. So those two may give her a tiny edge. But I think it'd be pretty cool if they did co. That'd be pretty awesome.
And it would be totally understandable if they did co. They're both on the road this week as the Cougars look to wrap up conference play. Hey, by the way, don't go to sleep after beat Gonzaga. You still got to win these
2 more games.
Get the 1 seed. The USFL draft is tonight. Any Cougars getting drafted?
I don't know. It's not going to be dudes that are trying to make the NFL this year. If you're James Empey, you're not like, yeah, I'm going to the USFL. No. It's guys like, I don't know if Micah Simon still wants to play and had a cup of coffee or post him, as we say here, in the NFL last year or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm interested to see if there's anybody. I'm guessing no, but maybe.
Hey, my message to the USFL is Steve Young is not walking through that door. Good luck.
Are they still paying Steve? Or is that over? Like, is that contract over? When was that?
80 eternal.
83. Is he done next year if it was 40 years? Remember the 40-year deal?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Next year is the 40th year?
Let's ask him. Next time we're on the show, let's see where he's at.
Okay. Texas Tech fans held a packed watch party at what looked like a local mall for the Texas Tech-Texas game. Is this what Big 12 Hoops is about, and where should BYU plan its first Hoops watch party in 2023?
Take a look at it.
This is incredible.
This is Big 12 Hoops and what it's all about when your coach leaves for the other team. And the Texas Tech coach is now coaching at Texas. We saw when the Longhorns came over to Lubbock, well, that was like a couple of weeks ago. Here's the rematch. And so in Lubbock, they're all around. They're going for blood. Guns up, as they like to say down there.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going. I don't know if anyone's going to hate us so fast, but that's where we're going.
Surely that will happen quickly. But University Mall, you got some work to do.
Yeah. Hey, they're remodeling. I think
yes, they are.
Coming up, who's the number 1, number 2 in BYU history?
And he's a champ and perhaps the fastest guy on campus. Dallin Draper joins us in studio to talk about his 2 MPSF championships over the weekend. This is BYU Sports Nation.
He ran over here in 4.5 seconds.
Oh, my God.
And BYU made such a difference in our lives, I think really helped mold us as to who we are. And so when we had that opportunity and came back to Boise and found out there was an active chapter, we thought, okay, that's something that I can really get behind and get involved in.
We want to promote the BYU experience all over the region. We want people who leave BYU to still stay connected.
If I got hurt and was laid up at home, I wouldn't even think to call a lawyer. What a hassle. I'd want to meet them first.
What if I told you that for your first consultation, your lawyer will come to you, home or hospital?
Really?
Really.
They do that?
If you've been injured, we'll come to you. It's your job to get better. It's our job to deal with the insurance companies.
Learn more at siegfriedandjensen.com.
Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork sells Ford vehicles including the F-150, the pickup designed for work and play. Tim Daly Ford maintains a large inventory, providing more choices for selecting an F-150 with the power and engineering to carry and tow heavy loads. The F-150's design offers comfort, safety, and a range of options to choose from. Think Ford. Think Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork.
Andy is new this season.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Very capable and very big-hearted.
It's so amazing to be a part of this. I mean, to travel around the world and learn so much from others while we can participate in their goals in meaningful ways.
Yeah, we like to tease her.
You know, it's natural, though, being the new girl and all.
Yeah, she hit the ground running.
Yeah, she did.
I hope the show can inspire others to get involved and open their eyes to the people around them.
Yeah, she looks small, but she's super tough.
Doesn't like snakes, though.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
On the newest Deep Blue podcast, Jarom talks with BYU TV men's volleyball analyst Steve Vale about how he survived brain cancer without missing a single broadcast. That's must-listen podcasting. Check it out.
Truly incredible. And Steve is such a wonderful asset to our BYU TV team here. Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation, live from Studio B. Jarom Jordan, Dave McCann, great to have you. We feel like we do some things with speed, but nothing compared to our next guest, Dallin Draper, who just won the MPSF indoor 60-meter and 200-meter championships. Dallin, welcome to the program. Great to have you, man.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you guys.
Good to have you here.
You the fastest dude on campus?
I mean, it's really close. There's a lot of guys in my sprint group that are all right there. Easton Bianchi, Landon Maxfield, Colton Yardley. Pretty much anyone that's a sprinter at BYU is just right there.
What about all the sports? Like if we did, like the fastest dudes from the football team or something, can they hang, you think?
See, I think the sprinters can get the football team.
In sprinting, that's
in
what
sprinting,
you do.
In sprinting, yeah.
If you have to catch the ball, maybe different?
See, I don't have any hands, personally. But there's some guys on the team that have some great hands.
Okay.
So
what you're saying is if you were at the 4-yard line and they kicked it to you, and then there are 11 guys running at you to take you out, that might not end so well?
You see, I'd love to try it. That'd be a lot of fun. I'd have a lot of fun playing football. So
did you play football at all growing up?
Yeah, I did. All through high school, I played football. I loved it.
With the Rabbits?
With the Delta Rabbits.
Delta Rabbits.
Delta
That's
Rabbits.
right.
That's awesome. When you're sprinting, what's the difference? And you mentioned all you guys are fast. So what is the difference that makes you faster than the others, or your teammate faster than you? What is it to determine who's going to win this race?
It's we all train so similarly. We all run like just as fast as each other, and sometimes it just comes down to who's having a good day. Sometimes it comes down to like who's mentally there, who's put in that mental preparation beforehand, including like visualizing and things like that.
Who had Captain Crunch before breakfast?
Yeah, I mean, Wheaties in the morning.
Wheaties.
That's your choice? Wheaties don't taste good. That's an old thing.
He brought up Wheaties.
Yeah,
Don't put Wheaties
Do you
on
still
me.
eat Wheaties?
I eat Wheaties, yeah.
You still eat Wheaties? Wow.
But you're
okay.
young but old school.
I
like
mean,
that.
if it works, it works, right? That's
Exactly. So it's the breakfast of champions still, I think.
Is it still
Is it?
It doesn't have enough sugar for me.
If it's your breakfast, I guess it's still the breakfast of champions.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Right?
Let's get
'Cause
this
you
man
guys-
an
you guys
NIL
win.
for Wheaties.
Hey,
Let's go.
Wheaties. I'd love to have an NIL.
I love that before we couldn't talk about anything. Now athletes can just say, I want that.
Yeah.
Give
sign
me
up.
that. That's
Sign me
great.
up.
I love it. Okay, walk us through winning not only the 60, but also the 200.
So the 60, we had trials on Friday, and so we went through the trials round, and so the finals came up on Saturday morning, and I was honestly feeling a bit sluggish. I was kind of like trying to get in the zone. Said a quick prayer, as you do, before you compete. Felt pretty good. My glute was kind of tightening up on me, so I felt a little weird about that, but I was able to just focus in and have a good drive phase, a good acceleration phase, and win the 60. And then the 200, kind of a different story. I was super hyped. I was just out of my mind crazy. My teammates could tell you. They were like, Dallin is not Dallin today. I was just really excited about it. It was awesome because I was competing with my teammates, I think places 1 through 4 were all BYU guys. So it was me, Jared Davis, Jace Jensen, and then Easton Bianchi. And so we were all warming up together. We're all just getting pumped. We're all kind of joking around beforehand. And it made it a little lighter, you know what I mean? It made it a little easier to compete. And went out there, ran a personal best, and I think we're all happy about it. I was happy about it for sure.
Does Ed Eyestone ever tell you how great he is and was?
No, he's too humble. He's a humble guy.
Because
But
he is
I know
that
he's
good.
great.
You know,
Yeah.
that's how, I just wonder if he reminds you, you take the top 4 spots, and maybe he goes, hey, that's pretty good. Just want you to know.
That's nice.
That,
Oh yeah, he's still got the
I
number
did
1
this,
spot
this,
up
and this.
there.
He's got everyone's attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Classic.
60 is so fast. Like we're used to watching 100 typically, and out indoor you go 60. There's 60 hurdles too, by the way,
Yeah.
which is insane. Like,
Yeah.
It's like 6 seconds. So what's the key to, like you said, being explosive and making sure you're winning that race? Because it is a blink of an eye.
Yeah, no. First of all, 60 is awesome because you don't get winded at all. You know, it's the best race in track and field.
You're not winded after you run that.
Not after 60. It's just,
Fine.
you know,
Everyone
a couple
does.
seconds.
Everyone can do the 60.
You can hold your breath, you know. I think, you know, explosiveness training, like sled pushes and things like that. We do things like that to prepare for the 60. Your start is the most important thing, you know, just exploding out of the blocks and staying low and driving and pushing back for as long as you can until you kind of, you know, patiently, slowly come up into like your full sprinting, you're up tall. I think as long as you can just maintain that drive and pushing back hard, you can be successful in the 60.
All right, let's talk about running for your life on your mission.
Yep.
There was a lot of training. It's a 2 years. You were 21 months due to COVID, but there's a lot that happens on a mission, especially with student athletes. We hear about it all the time. For you, there was some running.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, in Rio, there was a couple times I had to run, you know, out of necessity.
Shout out to Brazil.
Shout out to Brazil.
That's what's up.
We love it out there.
Brasil.
But there was actually one time this kid challenged me to a sprint. This little, like, 17-year-old kid didn't have shoes on or anything, you know. He's like, oh, let me race you. And I was like, okay. And we'd come out.
What kind of deal did you make? Did you have to take the discussions after you?
I think it was something like that.
Okay,
Like, you have
all
to take the
right. That sounds
discussions.
good.
This kid, no shoes on, like, smoked me. Like, totally beat me.
What kind of street? Was it
Like,
dirt? Was it
no, it was like
cobblestone?
pavement. This kid barefoot on the pavement.
And had you had Wheaties that morning, or
I hadn't.
He didn't have Wheaties in Brazil?
Okay. All
No,
right.
yeah.
I can know that.
So I was like devastated. I was like, oh no, like what's gonna happen, you know? But then I ended up racing him again and beating him, and so then he had to listen to us.
Nice.
That was awesome.
That is awesome.
But I was kind of nervous there for a second, you know.
Is there a vibe? Is there a vibe with the student athletes on campus of this level of success that has been unprecedented these last couple of years for sure, especially the last 9 months with just about every sport?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm super happy for all the other teams that have been successful, and especially the track team and the cross country teams. You know, like they are always out there just competing and showing up, and you can just tell that they have like this attitude of we're gonna win and like we're the best. And I think that's really important for all teams and all athletes to have. You have to have a winning attitude to be successful.
You mentioned before we started the segment that last year's theme was Rise Up, which is kind of a callback from like 08 football to Show Up.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Was there a problem with guys not showing up for meets? Or?
Yeah, I mean, when you get called under on the 4x4, you know, everyone's looking like, who's running the 4x4? No one's showing up, you know. No, I'm just kidding. But no, Show Up is our theme this year because, you know, we've put in the work, we've put in the practice, we've just put in the hours, and now it's just time for us to show up and like show the world what we can do as track athletes, as athletes in general.
It's not quest for perfection, so it's much better than that.
It's exactly the same theme in our teachers' quorum.
Show up.
Show up on Sunday.
Hey,
Show up.
There is something to that, right? Of at least being there. But like you said, no, we put in the work. Now let's go do it.
Yeah,
I love that.
How eager are you to run in the Big 12 coming up?
Oh,
he's got the shirt on, Dave.
Yeah,
he's ready to go.
Got the shirt. Yeah, no, I am so excited. It's gonna be awesome. We run against guys like that often, and like when we go to nationals and things like that. But to be in their conference will be so much fun.
What's the scene like? Because obviously you're in the MPSF. That's the same league as the men's volleyball team. They basically host a bunch of teams in the West, including Pac-12 teams, that don't have a conference for that, right? So now you join Big 12 indoor and outdoor, I assume, right?
Yep, that's right.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so
you're a freshman?
Well, I kind of don't know what I am, honestly. But I'm a sophomore in school.
You're a sophomore in
I'm
school.
A sophomore.
Okay, gotcha.
Hey, that gives you several more years to run, including in the Big 12.
That's pretty exciting.
No, I'm very excited about it.
Okay, BYU hosts the BYU Invitational coming up this weekend. You're going to take it easy, I take it, after winning the ship.
Taking it easy, but there will be lots of guys going fast, so
there'll be
come show up.
Yep.
Come watch.
11:15 and 11 respectively if you want to come watch. And then NCAA Indoor Championships coming up March 11th and 12th. So good luck.
Thank you.
Have you qualified for that, I take it? Tell me about
I
that.
haven't actually.
Okay.
It's competitive out there.
It's competitive.
It's crazy.
It's hard, okay?
Still showing up.
Okay.
Hey, it's so nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Thanks
nice
for
to meet
coming.
you guys. Thank
Good
you.
to have you here.
Dallin, thanks for coming in, man.
Coming up, the top 5 number 2s in BYU history.
And a rise and shout out to one of our own headed to New York, not for Broadway. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Delta Airlines. Keep climbing.
Trio Orem Senior Living believes in empowering seniors to live life to the fullest. We help eliminate stress out of daily life when you live at Trio. Less time focusing on housework means you can socialize at one of our many events, with safety in mind, of course. And did we mention our spacious apartments with modern amenities? Learn more about setting up a private tour at trioorem.com.
When we sit down to watch TV, it's a fun way to unite your family, be entertained, and to watch what's on BYU TV.
Brings our family together. We all love BYU TV.
If you're watching it with your family, you will have a good time and you can reconnect and you can bond with your family and have a better relationship with them.
All of us together.
To come true. You two are bombing. Buddy, come on, help me out here. We got it. You know we got it. Come on. I'm undercover as a cat. Yeah, I'm very good at assuming other identities. No. I'm in too deep. I need to catch that laser dot.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
BYU Sports Nation is always available on demand via the free BYU TV and BYU radio apps.
Or download the podcast, Google BYU Sports Nation podcast, and don't forget, subscribe, rate, and review the show, please.
Okay, Top 5 Tuesday presented by Delta Airlines. Keep climbing the top 5 players to wear number 2 at BYU. Start us off, Dave.
We know Travis is still watching because he's got his own list. Number 5, Riley Jensen. The 5th best number 2, played BYU softball 2017 to 21. The WCC Co-Freshman of the Year in 2017. 4-time first-team All-Conference. 2018 Player of the Year in the conference. One of the best ever at BYU, who proudly wore number 2.
She was fantastic. SportsCenter top 10 play, making a catch in the dugout, I believe, one time, which was amazing. Number 4, Travis Hansen. Probably going to think he's higher on this list.
Sorry, Travis.
Played for BYU 2000, 2003, transferred over from UVSC. 2003 first team All-Mountain West, co-defensive player of the year. Averaged 13 and 5 during his career, 43% from the field, 37% from 3. He was one of the early great three-point shooters from BYU. Top 40 scorer in only 3 seasons. 44-1 at the Marriott Center, Dave.
Blaine and I called all of those Sports West games. And which is crazy. That's how young Travis is. And but a dominating player and so much fun and what he's done after his career. Sorry, you're number 4, but
yeah.
I know you're number 1 with your wife. That's what's important.
Elder 8 Mile. And drafted in the NBA. BYU's not had a ton of draft
Hawks
over the years.
Shout out to the Hawks.
There you go.
Shaylee Gonzalez is in at number 3. She's been here since 2018. She still has 2 more seasons after this one due to the COVID year. Led BYU in scoring as a freshman. The WCC Newcomer of the Year in the 2018-19 season. Co-Player of the Year last year. She sat out a year with an ACL. Moved up, sat next to Coach Judkins and coached the team while she was rehabbing. And that kind of opened her eyes to a different way to see the game. And this year, as she's on the floor, you can tell that she is traveling her speed. Never too fast, not too slow, dominating at the rim. Player of the Year candidate for sure in the league this year at BYU's 23-2, ranked number 19. Outstanding number 2 right there, Shaylee Gonzalez.
She might be a 3-time Conference Player of the Year. Like, she's going to win it this year. She may win it again next year.
As she should.
Number 2, Mike Wall, played for BYU men's volleyball 99-02, was a part of 2 national championship teams. He really turned it on in 01 when BYU won that championship. 3-time first-team All-MPSF, 2-time first-team All-American. 2001 Final Four MVP, 4th all-time in kills, 2016 inducted to the BYU Hall of Fame, and he has played and coached for the USA men's national team as well.
Wow. Fantastic.
Pretty good.
All right, here's number 1. The number 1, number 2 of all time at BYU, Cody Hoffman. 2009 to 2013, 260 receptions, 33 touchdowns in his career. That's a school record. First in career receptions, receiving yards, and as mentioned, the touchdowns. He could not be defended, and often he had 2 and 3 guys defending him. And then he had some breakaway speed that was deceptive. And when BYU needed something, they looked for number 2.
He was a Power 5 receiver in the independent era for BYU. Cody Hoffman wraps up our top 5 number 2s in BYU history.
That one right there.
Oh, that
fantastic against Georgia Tech.
And we're showing a bunch of New Mexico State highlights. You're probably like, what? He had 5 touchdown catches in that game.
Yeah, that takes some time to show.
Yes,
but
it does.
he had some of the most amazing grabs, and that Georgia Tech touchdown might have been his best.
Over the shoulder. It was amazing. From Taysom Hill, by the way. One of Taysom's great throws. Our question of the day, who's your favorite number 2 in BYU sports history? Our elite voice of the day is presented by Sundance Mountain Resort. This is a little bit of Photoshop chicanery here from Johnny Linehan, who puts Ryan Rico, but he blurred out the 4 in Ryan's jersey number. So Johnny, again, trying to push the envelope. First it was 4th and 19, and now it's with Ryan Rico, who, to me, was still the best player on the team last year, despite Tyler Rozier's amazing season.
Man, that guy can kick. He's going to have a big season coming up. Ryan Rico, number 24.
Something like that. Today's Rise and Shout-Out is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. A shout-out to one of our own. Emmy Franks has been here for the last, 4 or 5 years as a student. Little career news she posts. I'm headed to New York City to work as a soccer broadcast associate for CBS Sports. She's got the Brooklyn Bridge in the background and the hat. She's been here at BYU TV. I remember when we interviewed her for the first time to be hired here. She's worked on the Pope Show and Countdown to Kickoff and BYU Sports Nation and a ton of things. We're so excited for her. Congratulations to Emmy.
That's the big time, and she's earned it, and we wish her the very, very best. Hey, and also a shout-out to the pollsters of the AP. You can find BYU on the WCC Sports Network on the road games this week.
Yeah.
We encourage you to watch.
Yeah, BYU TV, our subscription fee was too high to watch, apparently. Our thanks to today's guests, Travis Hansen and Dallin Draper.
Great to have both of them on the big show for this Tuesday. Dennis, sorry. Tomorrow's another day.
For Dave, I'm Jarom. Shout out to Luke Andrada. Go Cougs!